Sportsworld. At Ontario Motor Speedway, we watched as Shirley Muldowney took her top fuel dragster down the quarter mile and into her second world championship. Hi, I'm Paul Page with drag racing expert Steve Evans. Ontario Motor Speedway is no more. We are at Orange County International Raceway once again for the World Finals of drag racing in top fuel. And today, it is a battle between three men, Jeb Allen, Gary Beck, and Johnny Abbott.
That's right, Paul. And Jeb Allen comes into this event with a rather comfortable points lead. But if you'll recall, 1 year ago, he failed to qualify and missed his shot at last year's title. If Jeb makes that kind of mistake again, both Gary Beck and Johnny Abbott are right there to take it away from him.
And 1 year ago at the World Finals, there was a spectator. Her name is Lucille Lee. She decided she liked it so much she wanted to become involved. And she's involved in a big way as a pilot of a top fuel dragster.
And that's the part that I can't believe, Paul, is that a girl would start at the very top in the unlimited class at 250 miles an hour. And she learned to drive right here at Orange County International Raceway during the week on Wednesday nights and Saturday afternoons, made over 60 runs before she ever entered competition and qualified very well at the U.S. Nationals just a couple of months ago.
Top fuel drag racing today on NBC Sportsworld. Jeb Allen in the near lane as he performs his burnout and is prepared. It is Dwight Salisbury that challenges him in round number 1 of top fuel drag racing.
Dwight Salisbury of Van Nuys, California, a real starting line technician. Even in an underpowered car, he is a threat. Jeb Allen, he has been a professional drag racer since the age of 18, the only job he's ever had.
There's Jeb Allen as his engine crackles with horsepower, and he looks up and to the right. The Christmas tree is the starting device. You can see it there now. Jeb Allen watching intently for an amber light, and then 4/10 of a second later, a green light. They are moving into stage position. They're off, and Jeb Allen loses the whole shot to Salisbury, but Salisbury's engine going away as they come across the line. Still, it seemed that something went wrong on Allen's machine also. So Dwight Salisbury wins it, but a problem perhaps with both cars.
A big problem for Jeb Allen, Paul. Had he beaten Salisbury, he would have clinched the World Championship. As it is now, he has opened that door for Johnny Abbott or possibly even Gary Beck. Now, here is Jeb Allen in the near lane. He seldom has mechanical problems. He's won 4 big races this year with consistency. But something goes wrong here. Something comes off the engine. Jeb is well ahead of Salisbury, is driving away from him, and all of a sudden, that is the belt off of the supercharger. And without the supercharger, there's no horsepower.
A very disgruntled Jeb Allen. You can imagine how he feels. He may have just given away the world title with a small mechanical error on his machine. He has to be terribly disappointed.
Paul, Jeb Allen is one of the most emotionally charged drivers in this sport. It's going to be very hard for him to become a spectator here this afternoon, watching Johnny Abbott or maybe even Gary Beck try to take his title away from him.
So Jeb Allen may have given the title away. It certainly gives a chance to this man, Johnny Abbott.
Johnny Abbott served notice that he could be the world champion with a win earlier this year at the U.S. Nationals up against the former national champ, Marvin Graham of Oklahoma City, one of the quickest cars in the sport.
So it is Marvin Graham on the near side as he prepares himself for a run against Johnny Abbott. This is a must-win situation for Abbott, though. He has to put away every run that he possibly can here today.
Marvin Graham here in the car lane appears to have a big lead, but if we look back at the starting line, we'll find a red light glowing in Marvin's lane. A foul start. The man from Oklahoma City leaves too soon, way too soon, as the yellow light still glows on the Christmas tree, and he wasted a 5.75 elapsed time.
So Gary Beck with a big number 2 showing on his top fuel dragster. Brings it up to the line, and he is ready to face Dick LaHaye. Beck in the near lane. LaHaye in the far lane. They wait for the lights. They're staged. The power comes up.
A perfect start by both drivers, but look at Gary Beck here in the tower lane, simply out-muscling Dick LaHaye, and Penny Beck just loves it. Verifying the win light in Gary Beck's lane at 5.73 seconds, one of the best performances of this event.
So Gary Beck still has a shot at a world championship here at the World Finals of drag racing from Orange County Raceway in California. Frank Bradley now faces one of our other stories here today as Lucille Lee makes her burnout. Lucille Lee, who 1 year ago was just a spectator at a drag race, and she had an opportunity before the start of the event to talk with Steve.
1 year ago this weekend, a young housewife, mother, secretary came to the World Finals drag races for the first time ever, liked it so much, and now she's driving a race car. That's you. Why?
I think I was ready to do something different in my life. I don't know if it was a 30s blues or what it was. I came to the races working for TR3. We had tickets. We were sponsoring Marvin Graham's car. I got to looking inside the car, seeing the harnesses. The fact that you can go down a quarter mile in less than 6 seconds is real intriguing to me because I'm not a physically motivated type person as far as
Like a go lift weights.
Right, or play tennis or something like that. That takes a lot of physical exertion. I think this kind of a sport, I've enjoyed speed. I like exciting rides. The safety of it really got me more interested in it.
Obviously, you've got a lot of nerve, but have you experienced fear in this car?
Every time I get in it.
And so Lucille Lee will face this man, Frank Bradley. It's a situation here of a rookie against a longtime veteran because Frank Bradley certainly knows his way down the drag strip. There is Lucille Lee as she brings her machine up to the line. And they begin to stage, and Frank Bradley pulling the hole shot on Lucille Lee. Bradley down the line, but it's close coming to the finish, and Lucille Lee wins it.
Bradley came in here expecting an easy win, as the lady had never won before, but he is her first victim.
And Lucille Lee with her first win light ever, and she did it in fine style in the 5s at a 5.95, 240.64 miles an hour. And look at her. She can't wait to climb out of that machine. So that's the conclusion of round number 1 of Top Fuel. In round number 2, it will be Muldowney facing Abbott. Beck will face Lee, Salisbury against Ruth, and Kimball versus Sutton. We're back at Orange County International Raceway for the World Finals of Top Fuel Drag Racing. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and Larry Sutton brings his top fueler to the line as he is about to face John Kimball. What he's about to do is the burnout. It's extremely important.
It's important. It's also very exciting, Paul. Not only are you heating the tires, you're also putting down a track of hot, sticky rubber down on that pavement for more traction.
And for a top fuel dragster to be effective in the quarter mile, you have to pass it in the 5-second bracket.
John Kimball, a trucking company operator and weekend drag racer, versus Larry Sutton. Sutton, the biggest surprise of this event. He was not even expected to qualify, let alone be around for the quarterfinals.
The quarterfinal round, Top Fuel Dragster in the World Finals of Drag Racing. A race within a race, not only to determine a victor here today, but we will also break a 3-way battle for the World Championship. It is Larry Sutton in the near lane, John Kimball in the far lane, as they stage their top fuelers.
Larry Sutton here in the tower lane, usually the starter here at Orange County International Raceway. They are dead even until Sutton suddenly pulls ahead by a couple of car lengths, Paul. Something apparently going wrong with Kimball's car, and the Sutton crew enjoying every minute of this, their brightest day in drag racing.
So Larry Sutton picks up a quarterfinal round win with a 6.14, 221.13 miles an hour. And that brings up last year's world champion, Shirley Muldowney, against a man who still has a chance at a world title this year, Johnny Abbott. Muldowney and Abbott as they bring it up to the line. Of course, this is extremely important for Abbott if he is going to win the world championship. Before the race, Steve talked with him about facing Shirley Muldowney, the defending world champion.
Johnny Abbott, next in your path towards possibly a world championship is the world champion, Shirley Muldowney, and she's tough.
Well, Steve, she really is tough. You know, and this goes back to 77 when I first raced at the Popular Hot Rodding Championships, and I don't know how many times I've raced her since that time, but I'm just guessing that wins and losses against her are about 50-50. You know, I wouldn't take that to the bank, but I know it's close, and this is just going to be another race just like it. It ought to be a good race.
So Johnny Abbott must continue to win if he expects to stay in the fight against Jeb Allen and Gary Beck for the championship. Something wrong already on his car as Shirley Muldowney goes on to the win. There's the world championship gone away for Johnny Abbott. But Shirley Muldowney showed a lot of smoke as she made her pass in 6.8, 136.6 miles an hour. And a real question about Shirley Muldowney's engine as she pulls in, comes to a stop. But Johnny Abbott has lost his chance at a world title. It is now between Jeb Allen and Gary Beck. Muldowney, the big number 1 on her helmet, out of her machine. Let's go down and pick up Steve Evans. Steve?
Shirley Muldowney thrilled with the victory. She'll take them any way she can. The first concern is the motor because they are not oversupplied right now with spare engines. And hopefully it's just piston smoke, which is almost routine these days and something very easy to replace. All right, Shirley's got her helmet off. Well, when you don't have the performance, you got the luck.
Yeah,
the luck is with us today. I think we caught a couple pistons. I don't know. I know we didn't break anything.
Did you ever see Abbott?
At the start, yes. He's a good lever. I saw him, and then I saw him drop back, so I knew it had to be something that's serious. The way it was too early in the race for him to back out of it, so.
If the motor is hurt bad, do you have a spare?
We know how to fix it.
Okay, Shirley Muldowney has a very talented crew.
So we're still in the quarterfinal round now. Top Fuel drag racing from Orange County International Raceway as Dwight Salisbury brings his machine back from a burnout and prepares to face Jerry Ruth.
Jerry Ruth in the far lane. Ruth doesn't intend to paint this car, Paul, because paint weighs 30 pounds. Ruth, one of the most successful drag racers ever out of the northwest part of this country.
And he faces Dwight Salisbury, who won when Jeb Allen broke his floor on the first run.
Dwight Salisbury using the handbrake here, Paul, getting it pumped up to hold this car on the starting line.
Quarterfinal round, Top Fuel drag racing. Dwight Salisbury in the near lane, Jerry Ruth in the far lane. And Salisbury picks up a good hole shot, but it is Ruth on the charge now. Jerry Ruth down to the line, awfully close at the finish, but Dwight Salisbury with a 6.115 takes it away from Jerry Ruth.
Even though Ruth ran a little bit quicker, Dwight Salisbury, with those cat-like reaction times, picks up a victory here in the quarterfinals. Now, Ruth appeared to have this race in the bag. Everything was going wrong for Salisbury. He was smoking the tires, appeared to be beaten, but Ruth had no horsepower, possibly not even going into high gear.
So Dwight Salisbury picks up a victory, 218 miles an hour on his pass through the traps. But Dwight Salisbury, as he moves on toward the event title, but there is still the battle for the World Championship, and Gary Beck in his dark blue number 2 still has a chance, and he will face Lucille Lee.
And no one, especially Gary Beck, is taking Lucille Lee lightly now, Paul, as she had one of the best reaction times in her first round victory.
Lucille Lee and Gary Beck, as Gary Beck brings him off the line. He can't afford any mistakes at this point. Beck charging hard and just absolutely shuts Lucille Lee down as Gary Beck moves on to a possible world championship.
Seldom will you see a rookie driver like Lucille Lee, Paul, as consistent off the starting line as she is. She moved first.
Gary Beck with a very strong 5.72.
Okay, as Gary Beck wraps the parachute around the wing for a return back to the pit area, we'll try to get a word from him. You're still alive. The World Championship may be.
Oh, we're hanging in there. We're ahead of Abbott now. That's what we really came down here for. And catching Jeb after the lead he had all year, that's a miracle. So we're just hanging in. Next race is Shirley.
Well, here's a guy that didn't enjoy it quite as much as you do. Here's Jeb Allen.
We both champions, you know. I mean, Gary's won it before, and I don't know if it's might win it again. You know, you never know in this drag racing game.
Yeah, but top speed and low ET will be awfully tough, but we'll see. Anything's possible.
So those are the men that'll fight it out for the World Championship. In the semifinal round, it will be Gary Beck versus Shirley Muldowney, and Dwight Salisbury will face Larry Sutton. And now to Mike Adamley. Overlook Orange County International Raceway. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we are here for the World Finals of Top Fuel drag racing. Coming up, Dwight Salisbury facing Larry Sutton, but the real battle is for the World Championship between Gary Beck and Jeb Allen. And Steve Evans talked with Johnny Abbott, another competitor, about the possibility of a win by Beck.
Now that you're out, objectively, you can look at this thing. What do you think Beck's chances are of taking the title away from Jeb here?
Well, he's got to take top speed and low ET away from me at this event, and I would be very surprised if the track held it.
Johnny Abbott holds the low ET of 5.64.
There are bonus points, Paul, for low elapsed time at the event at all of the national championship races, and Gary Beck has got to get those bonus points, both speed and elapsed time.
So even though it's a long shot for Gary Beck, we still have a battle for the World Championship and a battle for the event title, as Dwight Salisbury and Larry Sutton move back to the line for their semifinal competition. Larry Sutton.
Sutton will be delighted, win or lose here, Paul. It's a dream come true for Sutton just to get to the semifinals. Dwight Salisbury has gotten here on good driving and a lot of luck.
Both machines on the line and ready. Sutton on the near side, Salisbury on the far side.
And Salisbury again moves first. He is some kind of driver. Larry Sutton with too much horsepower, more than the track will stand.
Well, if Salisbury had too much horsepower before, they have corrected it now. And once again, what a terrific starting line technician Dwight Salisbury has turned out to be. Larry Sutton, though, has to be happy with that pass. It has taken him further than he's ever been in a Nationals event before. Now watch in the far lane as Dwight Salisbury reads those lights so perfectly and brings it off the line so far ahead. An excellent start, and Sutton smokes the tires, and his chances for a win go away. Salisbury's crew celebrates at the moment, but they have to get to work on that machine as Salisbury has moved to the final round in a possible event title. The last time he won a Nationals event was at Pomona in 1968. Shirley Muldowney now comes to the line as she will face Gary Beck. And Beck still alive with a long shot at winning a world title. Gary Beck has to be absolutely perfect in everything that he does. And an interested spectator down at the other end of the course is Jeb Allen.
And Paul, as Gary Beck and Shirley Muldowney prepare to race, down here at the far end, still a little antsy, is Jeb Allen. If Gary Beck wins here, he still has a mathematical chance of taking the world title, of picking your pocket.
Yeah, he does. You know, it's something that is coming down to the line. We've worked at it all year long. He's very capable of doing it, you know, as he's proven today, is consistency in running. We're definitely worried. We've been racing the man all year, beating each other up for the World Championship.
Okay, we're going to stand here and sweat it out with Jeb. Let's go back to the line.
And perfection is the word that is uppermost in Gary Beck's mind as he has to face this lady who is absolutely perfect in her own right. Shirley Muldowney, a tough, tough competitor, witnessed by the fact that she is the defending world champion. And Beck away, pulls the whole shot on Muldowney, leads her all the way across the line, and Gary Beck is still alive for the world championship as Beck beats Muldowney and moves into the final round. Steve?
All right, now we know the results of the semifinals. It's Gary Beck at 577, and Shirley Muldowney is off in the dirt. Jeb, what do you figure happened here?
I don't know, Steve. Maybe possible motor explosion or just, you know, something coming off in the car, the steering breaking. I don't know.
She jumped out in a hurry.
Yeah, it looks like she maybe might have tried to get off the track, Steve, if she drove the motor to get the oil out of the way for the final.
Shirley Muldowney looks over the motor as we take a look at the run once again. Gary Beck read the lights perfectly, pulled the whole shot out, and led Shirley all the way down the quarter mile as Gary Beck moves into the final round and still has a shot at the World Championship. But his next run must be absolutely perfect.
And in the shutdown area, Gary Beck going into the final round, wrapping the parachute around the wing for the trip back to the pits and preparation for that final. Another beautiful 574, Gary. Whew.
Well, this car's real steady. We haven't been changing it all day. Certainly the game of drag racing is to win some races, and we'd love to win another race this year, that's for sure.
All right, talking to Jeb Allen, he was down here sweating it out still, as you did last year in this same situation. He doesn't feel that you can get the necessary points, that you can't run quick or fast enough.
No, I doubt it very much. The track, you know, it has to be very fresh, and after a long weekend of running, it's very hard to run those super runs. We had our chance for that low ET on Friday, and we weren't able to do it. So we would, you know, winning the race is good for us.
So not only the event, but the entire season comes down to a final 5-second run. As when we come back with the finals, Gary Beck will face Dwight Salisbury, and the World Championship will be on the line. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we're back at Orange County International Raceway for the World Finals of drag racing. Now, at the moment, it is peaceful, but that belies the excitement that is beginning to build as this man, Gary Beck, has a long shot at winning a world title and taking it away from Jeb Allen. He also has a chance as he fires his Top Fuel dragster for the event title here as he faces in the final round Dwight Salisbury. All the tears and joy of this season down to these final moments as Gary Beck, who has twice been second in the world, tries to take home a world title here today. Beck needs a 5.64 ET and a pass at 247 miles an hour. His opponent, Dwight Salisbury, who is trying to win his first national title in over 13 years. Before this run, he talked with Steve.
Dwight, you keep going slower every round and winning by greater margins. How is this possible?
Well, again, we're back to luck, Steve. I'd rather be lucky than good today, I guess.
Well, your driving ability has been excellent. You've won 2 races on hole shots alone, but I know your crew seems a little confused as to what to do, really.
Well, we've used so many parts that we've robbed Peter to pay Paul so many times we can't find Paul anymore. You know, we're just out of stuff, so we're trying to get something together here for the last round.
So you're telling me you're going up against Gary Beck and just kind of a blind guess?
Yeah, really, because we don't really know what's wrong with it. It's burning itself up earlier on the track every run, and we're backing the motor down, so we're really a little lost right now.
So there are a lot of unknown factors in that motor that sits behind Dwight Salisbury. Anything could happen there. The day has cooled just a bit. That should help carburation. The track surface has also cooled, and that should help adhesion. So Gary Beck has every possible chance that he can be provided with. There is Jeb Allen. He is the man that Beck has to beat for a world championship. And once again, Beck has to make a pass through the traps at 247 miles an hour. His ET must be 5.64 in order for him to take the world title away from Jeb Allen. Despite that, Beck can still win the event title here today.
Paul, I'm with Jeb and Cindy Allen down here at the end of the racetrack. Some $25,000 just seconds away for this young couple, professional drag racers.
And for Gary Beck, this is the moment of truth. They are both staged and on the line. Gary Beck with a hole shot as he pulls away. It's Gary Beck. What a tremendous run this is. Gary Beck has the event title as Salisbury's car lights up. A tremendous fire. The parachute burns away. Salisbury, he's protected now. He's in front of that fire, but it still burns at the back of Salisbury's car as he slides the machine to a stop. And Jeb Allen has won the championship. Gary Beck with the fastest pass in the history of drag racing, 5.57, but the speed not fast enough, 245.23 miles an hour. 2 miles an hour too slow. Dwight Salisbury is all right. Let's take a look at this run once again. Look at the awesome power, the flames pouring out of the exhaust of both machines, but Gary Beck was not to be denied, and Dwight Salisbury, a tremendous fire as his engine completely explodes coming across the line. Fortunately, the safety systems on these cars so good, despite the fact that his parachute burns away, Salisbury coasts to a stop, and he is uninjured in this tremendous finale to the season. The World Finals of Drag Racing. The event belongs to Beck, and the World Championship belongs to Jeb Allen. Let's go down. Steve Evans now is with Gary Beck. Steve?
So, by less than 50 points, does Jeb Allen win the World Championship, and he is willing to share his champagne with Gary Beck. You still wear the number 2. At least you don't have to re-letter the car.
Well, it was good. It was a good ride. It was strong in the middle that time, not too much shake. So I was happy for Jeb. I'm glad they won the World Championship. Certainly deserve it, that's for sure.
What an afternoon. You have seen the fastest pass in the history of this sport run by Gary Beck. He wins the event, but the world title goes to Jeb Allen. Congratulations to both. Steve?
And after 11 national events, 40-some-odd regionals, it comes down to the last 5 seconds of the entire season. Had Gary Beck gone over 247 miles an hour, he would have been the world champion. Outstanding racing.
The World Finals of Drag Racing. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans. So long from Orange County International Raceway. And now to Mike Adamley.
Nitro-burning engines, fiberglass bodies, 2,500 horsepower, 250 miles an hour. The battle of the funny cars.
drag racing for you racing fans, so stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
NBC Sportsworld is in beautiful, sunny Southern California on the property of what was once the Great Irvine Ranch, but we're standing on the black macadam asphalt of a drag strip. This is Orange County International Raceway. Hi, I'm Paul Page with drag racing expert Steve Evans, and we are here today for the World Finals in Funny Car in Pro Stock. And today, the battle in Funny Car is between Kenny Bernstein, who is challenging Raymond Beadle. Beadle is going for his third world title.
That's right, third in a row, Paul. Kenny Bernstein has a tough, if not impossible, task. If Raymond Beadle as much as qualifies his famous Blue Max race car, Kenny Bernstein would have to win this entire event and set at least one new national record.
In the Pro Stock category, it's a perennial battle between Lee Shepherd and Bob Glidden.
Well, it's almost a repeat of last year. Lee Shepherd thought he had the title won when he came here 1 year ago, but mechanical problems hit him, and Bob Glidden retained the title. This year, however, I think if you ask these fans, they fully expect Bob Glidden to have to give up that #1 for the first time in 4 years.
Exciting drag racing action, the World Finals today on NBC Sportsworld. The funny cars, one of the most exciting forms of drag racing when they're right, but when they're wrong, they go very wrong. Here is Billy Meyer in a qualifying round as his engine lets go, and the oil and fuel begins to burn, and burn it does. As Billy Meyer is inside of that car, the fire system's protecting him ever so well. The crew's right there. They got him out of the car, and Billy Meyer was essentially unhurt after this fire.
Billy taking some oxygen right now, but it appears to be in pretty good spirits. Billy, are you all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I just got a little warm.
It didn't appear to want to go out.
No, it didn't. I won, though.
Billy Meyer, you can see, in very good spirits, considering you can see his mustache is a bit singed. Billy, can you come back in competition?
I don't think so. Our other body's in Waco, so, I mean, it would be, you know, too hard.
Well, were it not for the spare body still back in Texas, Billy Meyer might still be in the hunt here at the World Finals.
But it wasn't the only funny car fire in qualifying. Gary Densham's car literally lit up. Not only the motor, the fuel, the oil, but the fiberglass began to burn. He was able to drive that machine to a stop. But can you imagine the incredible heat that is being felt in that cockpit as those flames wash over the car? But the safety systems worked, despite the fact that the car literally burned to the ground. The fiberglass and tires burning as it rolled to a stop. But still, Gary Densham climbed out okay.
The protective suit doing just an incredible job. 4 or 5 layers of the 5-layer suit have been burned off, but it still managed to protect Gary Densham. The boots charred very, very badly, as we can see right here, but they did their job, as Densham does not appear to have any burns anywhere on his body, but he gazes over at his race car and finds that it is not in particularly good condition. The body literally melted.
Part of the driver's test for a funny car driver is to be able to blindfolded hit your extinguishers and chutes and climb out of the car. If you look at the top, you can see he already has the trap door open. And as the car rolls to a stop and the safety crews arrive, Densham climbs out of the top of that funny car. Exciting qualifying, and we expect the same kind of excitement coming up in the eliminations in Funny Car and Pro. We're back at Orange County International Raceway. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we're here for the World Finals of drag racing. Today, we'll be determining not only a winner of this event, but we'll be looking for a new world champion in both Funny Car and in Pro Stock. The second round of Funny Car is coming up, but moments ago in Pro Stock, wearing the #1 of the world champion, Bob Glidden, trying for his 6th world championship in a row, was facing Mark Ewell. Glidden on the near side, Ewell on the far side.
Bob Glidden was a little late off the starting line, Paul Page. He's the winningest driver in drag racing history, but here the win light goes to Mark Ewell in a very close contest.
An unbelievably close race. Mark Ewell with an 8.49 ET. Glidden coming off the line slow.
In past years, Paul, Glidden has had enough performance to be complacent on the light. Not here this year. He was down on power. It caught up with him, and that decides the Pro Stock World Championship. The big #1 next year goes to Lee Shepherd and comes off that car of Bob Glidden.
And that brings us up to round number 2 in funny car. Here is Dale Pulde's funny car as they light the fire on that engine. These are amazing machines.
The funny car is an unfortunate name, Paul, for a very sophisticated racing machine. A 2,000 horsepower nitro-burning engine in front of the driver, all wrapped in a fiberglass replica body.
We will see Dale Pulde face Tom Ridings.
Dale Pulde has won 1 national event this year. He's a pro racer out of Southern California. Tom Ridings is a full-time college student living in Long Beach, races on the weekends.
The monstrous power of the funny cars come to the line here at Orange County International Raceway in the World Finals. Tom Ridings on the far side, Dale Pulde in the near lane as they bring their machines up to stage.
Dale Pulde was much quicker of the 2 in qualifying, Paul, and has got to rank as a heavy favorite here against the weekend warrior Ridings. It is Pulde reacting to the light first, traveling down the near lane, and he is well out in front of Ridings. He uses him up with an elapsed time of 6.08 seconds at better than 230 miles an hour.
Absolutely no question for Dale Pulde as he wins funny car here in round number 2 and moves on to the next round.
At this moment, Paul, back in the pit area, a lot of excitement, some hard work going on as the Rob Williams team from Denver, Colorado, attempts to install an entire new power plant in just a matter of minutes. They had an unfortunate fire in the round before. It'll be a miracle if they can get back to the lanes in time.
In round 1, it was Williams on the near side versus Hank Johnson on the far side. Now watch closely as Johnson on the start drops behind and then loses control of the car and slides across the center line. The race was over then. You cannot cross that center line. But watch now as Williams' engine lets go, lights up, and burning. He goes on to finish this race and to win it. But that has caused this problem, a new engine to be installed in his machine. Hard work that has to be done quickly. Part of the action here today is to decide the world title in both pro stock and in funny car. And the crowd here is watching as the new funny car champion, Raymond Beadle, brings his machine to the line. He became the world champion when Kenny Bernstein failed to qualify.
Well, after a year-long fight for the world championship, you still had a shot, Kenny Bernstein, coming into this event. But you'd at least have liked to have lost it racing, not parked unqualified.
Oh, yeah, you know for sure, Steve. No, it would have been a tough one to win it, but it was like Fremont a couple of weeks ago. We were in the game there, and we didn't qualify. It's just we had a rough end of the season. It really turned around hard, and I was thinking about it on the way back, you know, from the other end. I said, well, I can't remember someone doing so good and then just completely going out from underneath you at the end, but it's just one of those things. That's racing.
So Kenny Bernstein fails to qualify, and Raymond Beadle is the funny car world champion for the 3rd consecutive year.
Raymond Beadle, the ultimate pro in this funny car sport. He comes to these races with 5 engines. He's willing to blow them all if that's what it takes. Here's the number 1 qualifier, Dale Armstrong, his best of 5.93. So it's Armstrong against the fabled Blue Max in funny car competition. The new world champion is off first, but something goes wrong with the Blue Max.
Raymond Beadle rolls to a stop early on, and Dale Armstrong through the traps a 5.89 ET. That is a new Nationals record.
That's right. It's backed up by his earlier 5.93. Here's Armstrong in the car lane. This is his last year of competition, and what a way to exit a new national record.
And Raymond Beadle, the new champion.
Well, if you got to get beat, you might as well get beat by one of the quickest runs in history, as Armstrong ran a 5.89.
Well, I know you run good. We put too much fuel pump on it, just dropped up some cylinders, so we went for it, and we just didn't make it.
So not firing on all 8?
No, I didn't fire on all 8.
But Armstrong, Mike, to run 5.89, you knew he was on a pass.
Well, we knew that he'd run it probably another at least 93, so we'd only run as a 6 flat. So, like I said, we had to do what we had to do, and it just didn't work.
Well, congratulations on the 3rd Blue Max World Championship. At least that pressure is off. You leave here with all the bonus money, the title.
Thank you.
There's Diane Dunn as she leads her husband, Big Jim Dunn, a fire captain from Long Beach, back into place, ready for the 2nd round of funny cars.
Jim Dunn races strictly for fun, Paul. He was runner-up this year at the U.S. Nationals. He won this event back in 1972. He is set to race this man, 4-time world champion, Don the Snake Prudhomme. But here was Prudhomme's run in round 1.
Trip Shoemake had problems right at the start, losing control of his machine, and it looked like Prudhomme was smoothly to another victory, but then the car exploded, burst into flames. Finally, the fiberglass body ripped off the top, and Prudhomme slid to a stop. He immediately started started to unbuckle and climb out of his battered, burnt, and broken race car. The fire crews were there to put out the fire, to assist Prudhomme. Imagine the incredible heat that was transmitted to Prudhomme in that accident. They sprayed him to cool him down, but he was okay.
I think just one word describes that one: terrifying.
Yeah, it's probably about the worst one I ever had in my 20 years in racing. I'll tell you, it definitely caught my attention.
It blew late, right in the lights, or maybe even past him. The parachute went right away. Did you have any idea where you were before you came to a stop?
Not really, Steve. I knew I was still somewhere on the course because, obviously I hadn't hit anything up till that point. That's the only thing I was concerned about. I know it looked terrifying and everything, and it was bad from where I was sitting, that's for sure. But the safety of these cars are tremendous, and that's I have to give a lot of credit to NHRA and the safety committee that make us run different parts and pieces of equipment on the car to make them safe like they are today. And to walk away from something like that is spectacular.
So Don Prudhomme will not answer the call to face Jim Dunn, and Jim Dunn will make a bye run. Now, he will be running for lane choice.
That's right, Paul. The rules require Dunn, even though it's a gift from the snake, to make this run to keep wear and tear equal. Also, if he runs quicker than his opponent in the next round, he will have the choice of lanes, and sometimes that can be very, very important. Big Jim Dunn to a clocking of 6.13 seconds at 222 miles an hour.
So Big Jim Dunn moves ahead on a bye run as a result of that accident involving Don Prudhomme, and thank goodness that Prudhomme was not seriously injured in that accident. Here's a man that had problems earlier, but Rob Williams' crew has fired his engine. This is a new one that they've installed in the machine after it exploded in an earlier round.
Hard to believe they can install an entire new engine in just a matter of minutes, Paul. The driver of this car, Rob Williams from Colorado, has made the transition from high altitude to sea level very successfully this weekend. He'll be up against a touring professional, a former Nationals winner, Gary Burgin.
Now, Gary Burgin is strapped in, uniformed, and ready to go as he comes to the line against Rob Williams. It will be Burgin in the far lane, Williams in the near side lane. And remember, Williams with a brand new motor bolted into that machine. Quick work by his crew.
These engine changes are exciting to watch in the pits, Paul, but seldom are they successful. It's untried equipment. There's a lot of question marks here. There's just so much work to do and so little time. Did they do it right?
It shows that engine change did not work. Gary Burgin goes on the way while Williams, with a dead engine, coasts to a stop on the drag strip. So Williams' crew had done such a fine job in replacing that engine. It just simply didn't work. Gary Burgin with a 6.06, 241 miles an hour. So that sets the stage for the semifinal round in Funny Car, as Gary Burgin will face Dale Armstrong and Dale Puldey will face Big Jim Dunn.
Remaining on Sportsworld, so be sure to stay with us. World's Strongest Men competition, Sports Journal, and the finals of drag racing when we come back.
Page with Steve Evans, and we're at Orange County International Raceway for the World Finals of drag racing. Racing in Funny Car and in Pro Stock. A quarter-mile drag strip.
And one of the quickest quarter miles that these drivers have ever enjoyed, Paul. We're in the semifinals of Pro Stock Eliminator. It'll be the new world champion, Lee Shepard, the red and white car from Texas. This driver always so calm and cool. Quite a contrast as he will be racing the number 3 rated Pro Stock in the country, the always intense Frank Iaconio from New Jersey.
There's Lee Shepard as he will do his burnouts and race in the near side lane. Frank Iaconio on the far side in the bright yellow machine, and of course, Shepard has already wrapped up his world title.
I don't look for either driver to make a mistake on the starting line here, Paul. They're just too professional, too good. Both always on time. This will be a race of horsepower.
A highly competitive class of drag racing, the Pro Stock. Iaconio on the far lane, Shepard on the near side. Both cars away cleanly. An equal race. Down the track they fly. Nose to nose. And Shepard just barely edges it out.
It's a good thing we have an electronic finish line judge here, Paul. I don't know about you, but I couldn't have called that by eye. Lee Shepard wins it by only 1/100th of a second. An 8:37 for Shepard, an 8:38 for Iaconio. It was indeed a race of horsepower, and here's what 1/100th looks like in drag racing.
A race that it could only be resolved by that electronic eye. And here is Mark Ewell, the man who upset the reigning world champion, Bob Glidden.
For Mark Ewell and the Ewell brothers, it'll be fun to go home to Reno and tell all your friends when they come by the shop that you beat Bob Glidden. Had you ever beat him before?
We've raced him now for 9 years in national event competition. Never once, not one single time have we ever beat him, so this was great. Excellent.
And you also played a role in determining the world championship for Lee Shepherd.
Well, I'm really proud for Lee, and I'm sorry if that hurt Bob any, but I don't think it did.
He will face John Hagen, who for the first time in his career is in the final rounds of a nationals event. So Hagen on the line now, ready to face Mark Ewell.
Hagen is the world's fastest pro stocker. He had set a national record here at this event earlier, over 164 miles an hour, and Ewell is late. Mark Ewell did not react to the light. Hagen's got a big lead and a lot of horsepower on the other end. It's a walk away for Hagen.
John Hagen with an 8.42, 164.53 miles an hour, moves into the final round where he will face Lee Shepherd. And that will bring up the semifinal round in funny car as Dale Poldy faces Jim Dunn.
A pair of Californians here, Paul. One a fireman for a living, the other a drag racer for a living. Here's the fireman, Big Jim Dunn. These cars are very evenly matched if you look at their lapse times from qualifying and in the earlier rounds. Poldy's car has a history of inconsistency, though, and Big Jim Dunn is so experienced, he seldom makes a mistake. And remember, this is his home track.
So Dale Poldy now in the cockpit. He is ready. The engine fired. Everything set to go, and this is the moment when the driver must clear his mind of all outside obstacles and concentrate merely on the job at hand, which is a quarter-mile racetrack in front of him. It is a race really against nothing but himself. He must drive as fast as he possibly can. Jim Dunn, last one at the Super Nationals in 1972 in Ontario. So it is Poldy on the near side, Dunn on the far side. They're away, and already Poldy lights the tires on the rear. If Dunn holds on, Jim Dunn moves to the final round.
Dunn clocks a 6.06 at 238 miles an hour. And here's an example of why you have to be constantly checking the track conditions. They change round after round. Poldy had too much horsepower. He simply overpowered the track. When you smoke the tires like this, the elapsed time just evaporates.
So Jim Dunn has moved into the final round here in the World Finals at Orange County International Raceway. Now only to be determined who will be his opposition as Gary Burgin comes up against Dale Armstrong.
Armstrong, the new national record holder at 5.89 seconds. He says that this World Finals event is his last ever race. He's retiring from the cockpit, going to work as a chief mechanic for another crew, the Speed Racer car based out of Pennsylvania.
Dale Armstrong has his machine on the line, but he's pulling his gloves off. The fire is out in his machine. Something's wrong.
The supercharger backfired, Paul, and when it did, the engine died. So Dale Armstrong is out of competition. Gary Burgin will have a solo run, but he's got to keep that car between the guardrail and the center line. If he touches either one, he could still be disqualified.
It is certainly not unknown for someone to be making a bye round and make a mistake, get across the line, or even lose control. So this is a run for lane choice as Gary Burgin screams down the strip and through the traps. 6.05, and that will give him the lane choice in the final round of funny car.
Dale Armstrong removes the Nomex sock possibly for the last time. He says he's retired, but he can still muster a smile, and who wouldn't with a new record?
And Gary Burgin gets a gift and gets the lane choice going to the final round. He's with Steve Evans.
What a funny car final we have got set up. Big Jim Dunn at 6.06 and Gary Burgin at a 6.05. And this is the first Burgin knows of that number. That means lane choice. Is it a factor?
I don't believe so. We run the right lane, which is supposedly the worst of the two lanes, if there is a worse lane, all weekend.
No one knows this track better than Jim Dunn. You're out all over the country racing. He's right here.
That's very true. In fact, Steve, we haven't raced here since 1977. I'm just happy with ourselves because we did so well at Fremont 2 weeks ago, and we're doing so well here.
And here is the final round. Pro Stock Eliminator in the World Finals of drag racing. Lee Shepherd will face John Hagen. And before they climbed into machines, they met with Steve Evans back in the pit area. Steve?
All right, this could be a driver's battle. You guys are pretty close, the laps time-wise.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be a good race.
It'll be one on the starting lane, most likely, you know.
Okay, we'll be watching. Thank you.
So in the far lane, it will be John Hagen as he faces Lee Shepard. $15,000 and the event title on the line. Shepard pulls the hole shot, but now Hagen begins to answer. They're side by side. Shepard beginning to pull a lead, and it's Shepard across the line. 8.35 seconds, 151.29 miles an hour for Lee Shepard.
Not only is he the world champion established earlier today, he wins the World Finals Eliminator title and some $15,000 or $20,000 that goes along with it. Congratulations, Lee Shepard.
Thank you, Steve. That really feels great. I've never been so excited my whole life.
Well, you don't sound like it, but I know you are inside. He's a soft-spoken Texan. There was only about 0.04 of a difference, so it really was a driver's race.
Yeah, John's been running awful good today. Sure has.
Why don't you come on out of this car? Let's not keep you prisoner in here. Okay, and here's the president of the National Hot Rod Association, Mr. Wally Parks, to shake the hand of Lee Shepard, and I can't think of a world championship that has ever been more deserving. If you recall, 1 year ago here this weekend, he was the man with the tears in his eyes when his lead evaporated to Bob Glidden. But Glidden's gone, that 18-wheeler is pulled out, and you're it. Again, congratulations to Rearin Morrison, to Lee and Mary Shepard, your Pro Stock World Champion and World Finals Champion.
So Lee Shepard picks up 2 titles, and it is quiet for the moment. But when we come back, the thunder of the funny cars as the final round will face Gary Burgin against Jim Dunn. This is Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we're standing by for the final elimination in funny car at Orange County International Raceway. In the far lane, Gary Burgin, and he will face Jim Dunn. Why did Jim Dunn make it to this final round? He told Steve Evans it was in part a matter of luck.
Yeah, you know, we're awful lucky, but we run good, but we're lucky and we play the odds that we'll run an O if we have to and try not to hurt it. And we'll try to run another O this run if we can get it together in time.
And this is your home track. You race here a lot. Burgin hasn't raced here since 1977.
Doesn't matter. It's good. If the track's good, you make power and you run good.
So Jim Dunn, a local favorite, as he faces the longtime pro Gary Burgin.
Gary Burgin, a homegrown product from Stanton, California, right here in Orange County. Now, Paul Dunn may call it luck. I call it experience, savvy. He has just been craftier than anyone else as far as adapting to this track round after round.
The conditions are absolutely perfect. The air has cooled in the past few minutes, and so these cars and motors are ready to do their job. As they come to the line, all the marbles are on this one simple quarter-mile run.
Jim Dunn says he's taking the conservative approach. Gary Burgin, as always, will go all out.
Gary Burgin rolls up the stage. Jim Dunn is ready. They're away, and Burgin lights the tires. The smoke shows just too much horsepower, and Jim Dunn wins the World Finals in funny car.
Big Jim Dunn with another 6.0 elapsed time has got this crowd cheering. They're on their feet. This is no fluke. Big Jim was in the finals of the U.S. Nationals this year.
A popular victory before his hometown crowd as Jim Dunn wins the World Finals of drag racing.
Well, we did good. We only killed about 7, I think.
Who cares at this point?
That's right. We got 3 left.
And nothing but friends in your camp working on this car. No hired help, no fancy crew chiefs.
Nobody gets paid, not even me. In fact, I pay. They get 2 hamburgers tonight. Right?
You do this strictly for fun.
That's it. We've always done it for fun. We always will.
Well, there's a man who enjoys his drag racing. Congratulations to Jim Dunn, who wins the event title in funny car. And congratulations, too, to Ray Beadle, who has the world championship now in funny car, and Lee Shepard, who has won both the world title and the event title in Pro Stock. I'm Paul Page for Steve Evans. So long from the World Finals of drag racing.